Hey guys, Anthony 4x4 Diesel, mod number 7 for those that are following, mod number 7. The suspension, this is the Dobinsons that we had in our 2019 Prado. We took it out because, hey, guess what? They didn't want it. You know, they wanted to get the car stock standard and go and pay full retail and labour all over again to get it all installed rather than pay, what, 70% of the value of the near new. So done about 50,000 Ks, still working really well. So we took it out, we're happy, saved us money. Happy days, there it is, right? These are the 700s in the front, monotubes. You can see they've got an adjustable height. And what this video will include is a little bit about how to adjust them, because you can't adjust those purple rings with the spring pressure on, which is what it is at the moment. Now, I'll rephrase. You can, you might get lucky, you might not, and you might ruin the threads here. So what we do is the easy way to do it on the vehicle, I'm not saying it's that easy, you need to raise the vehicle or jack it up, possibly take the sway bar off. See at the moment, see there's no sway bar here. It normally goes in that hole there, and it's normally in the way right about here, so that you can access these purple rings with the spanners that should come with the kit. If they don't come with the kit, let me know, and we should be able to arrange some for you. Bada bing. Okay, so in here, the 700s, and we're using the 302 coil for comfort, and because we're not going to be having, see, no bull bar. See the no bull bar? There it is, plastic. So, comfort, and just to get a nice lift. It's a touring vehicle. We don't need 50mm at the front. I want 30 to 40mm. It did come up a bit short, and I never got a chance to adjust it. And now they've been on there for 50,000 Ks of dirt, dust, and Gibb River Road and all those sorts of places. So these rings can get a bit tight. So one thing we're going to do, we're going to spray some CRC in around and make a bit of mess. That's why I wanted to show you before we did that, to give it a soak. But what we want to do is we want to take as much spring pressure off as we can. You can take the whole thing out and put it back in a spring compressor, but the whole point you purchased this assembled was so you could put it in yourself and save money, and so that other people didn't butcher your vehicle, because that's what they do, you know, they leave these nuts loose. Let's just not even go there. Okay, so what we want to do is to take that spring pressure off. We kind of need to let the spring decompress, which means we'd have to undo that top middle nut there, right? The one I'm focused on at the moment. But if you do that at the moment, it's got all the pressure on it because the spring's pushing on it. That's the whole point. But once you put the wheel on here, on the rotor, and put it on the ground, then the weight of the vehicle, which is compressing here at the top of the spring onto the spring seat at the bottom there, is what's taking the load of the spring. So once it's on the ground, you can, and look, if you don't get this, and you don't get, just don't do it, right? So caution, if you're not a qualified technician, you don't understand what I'm talking about, don't do this, because it could become dangerous. With the weight of the vehicle on the ground, you'll see this top rubber here, it'll have a lot less squash on it, because at the moment, the wheel's extended and this washer's pulling down on the rubber, so the whole spring pressure is pulling against that rubber. Once the vehicle's on the ground, the pressure's then on this side, on the under, well, there's not much pressure, it's on this spring seat here, and the shock is just pushing up slightly, so the underneath rubber, you can't see it at the moment, won't be even squashed as much as that, but the point is, there's no pulling down once it's on the ground. So what you do, you proceed to remove that nut, that washer, that and that bush there, and then of course when you raise the vehicle again, whether it's on a hoist or a jack, that rod will just come down. It'll only go as far as it can go, and it's going to vary from vehicle to vehicle. So it may take off all the spring pressure, or it might take off most of the spring pressure. There's been people that have told me they've adjusted these when they're new with the spring pressure on there, just like this, jacked up the vehicle to release some of the spring pressure, which is better than on the ground, definitely. You can see there's see the slight gap there. When it's on the ground, it gets even more pressure, right? So up is better than on the ground, but by releasing that and raising it, without even undoing any other nuts and bolts, you should be able to remove most of the pressure so that you can then adjust these. Now, remember the threads, they're a standard right-hand thread, so to loosen it off facing from the bottom, so down this way, that bottom one, anti-clockwise, which means this top one, the opposite way to make it go up, right? But in this case, what we want to do, we're going to want to get to that bottom one of the two. We're going to want to turn it anti-clockwise. So I could be wrong here, so I reserve the right to be wrong. But I believe if you put a spanner on that bottom purple ring there, you know, the proper spanners that come with the Dobinsons monotubes, and you turn it anti-clockwise, which would be to your left, that means that bottom ring is going to turn this way. It's going to turn this way, right? And that's going to unlock. We're going to spin it down a couple of mil, whatever, so it's out of the way. Then we need to either adjust the top one, depending if we want to go up, then this one will go clockwise to go up or anti-clockwise to come down, and you might want to just take a measurement. I often use from the bottom of the ring to that edge there. If you're going to make an adjustment, that's a simple measurement, and you can go, okay, my vehicle's sitting on let's say 775 and I wanted 785. Remember, what happens here at the spring is double at the wheel. Okay, so double at the wheel. So if you want to go from 775 to 785, you want to go up 10 mil. That means there's a 5 mil adjustment you want to go up here. So then you would carefully wind those up. When you've got your 5 mil, then bring this other one up and lock it. You can do the measurements however you like. I'm just giving you a bit of an example of what would work well. You want to get a nice, straight, accurate edge like that. It's quite difficult. You can't measure to the eye in the middle at the bottom there while it's in the vehicle. So something like, not to the thread, because the thread could vary. That edge there, that machined edge, we find is really consistent on these. So there you go, we've sort of given you a bit of information. This is mod number 7. Obviously, as you can see, the front's sitting in position. That bottom bolt, of course, not tight. That'll be tightened up once the vehicle's on the ground to avoid any twist. Now we're over the passenger side here, and you can see, what did I say there? You can see, in case I'm wrong or whatever, forget C59302. They're definitely 302s we've put in there. We've got the spring seat raised up a little higher than normal. I think it's about 5 mil higher than normal, to be quite honest, is what we do with the 302s with no bull bar to get. It does vary from vehicle to vehicle. This is the problem. You could end up with 1 inch, 25 mil, 30 mil, 35 mil, 40 mil, somewhere there. But this is the thing, every vehicle varies, and the beautiful part about these is the fact that they're adjustable. It might be a bit of a job, might be a bit of a pain, but at least you can do it without changing springs, which saves you money. I mean, a set of coils these days is near 300 bucks a pair, so it's not a cheap item to go ahead and replace, and then you've certainly got a lot more labor to get the springs out. In the rear here, we're taking the rear shockers out, the sway bar, the ABS links, and the brake line brackets just to loosen it off. This is not a how-to video. We've got that in our playlist. Check out our suspension playlist. These rear coils are about to come out, and we used the 327s in another car. So a brand new set of 327s there you can see, so in case I forget, and you can see the old remote MRA, remote reservoir adjustable, which were absolutely beautiful. They're going back into the back as well, and we've got a video on installation of those. All right, who remembers me saying I'm not selling or promoting a remote reservoir suspension because it may be unreliable? Okay. So this is 50,000 Ks. We do use it pretty hardcore in the outback corrugated road, so it's done a lot of work in that 50,000, probably more than most people would do in an average couple 100,000 kilometers. But see the bracket for the rear remote reservoir broken through. We've only just noticed that. Right, so the material, it's only what, a couple mil thick, 2 or 3 mil thick, and because of the cutout in the center there and the fold, it's broken on the weld. So I'm not saying you should go and get yourself some remote reservoirs. Love the Dobinsons monotube, but without the remote reservoir. So we're putting the adjustables in at the moment, but we're either going to need some upgraded brackets, or we're going to need to get rid of those and just put standard monotubes in the rear that aren't adjustable, which would be unfortunate, because knowing how to adjust them correctly, you get a really awesome ride out of them. But it does create work for people that don't understand suspension. Have a good look at that, right? It's definitely broken. And this is the problem with the, not with the Dobinsons, but with the inverted shockers and the monotubes perhaps. And this is where K-On comes in to save the day with the shock guards. Now, you can see having the shock absorbers upside down, you can see all the rock spray on the top half. That's covering what, 3/4 of the shock absorber from the bottom upwards. Heaps of rocks are hitting here. The boots are really good. I've said we've done a lot of off-road with these. But you can see some damage there. We're getting to that in a moment. But you can see the boot, there's some rocks hit the boots to where they have perforated. I'm not worried about that. It doesn't matter about dirt or dust getting inside here. What matters is this needs to be protected from rocks, and you can see the boot's doing some of it, but when those really big rocks hit and they split straight through there, when that rock hits, the only protection between this shaft, which we want to protect, is this rubber, which obviously it's not quite enough. And this is where I sort of said to a lot of people, and in the videos, if you watch the videos, the suspension playlist, and I always say it's really important to watch all the videos so you get the whole picture, because it depends what you're using the vehicle for, whether it suits you or not. Now, what I noticed, the first see this is turning, right? This is loose, so we're about to add some Loctite to that, which is what we're doing here. And as I pull the boot up to give this a bit of a clean,
for the first time. You can see it's going to be all right further up. It's down the bottom is the worst. You don't want damage like this. This has got to run past the seal further up here, and I'm not that confident that it hasn't already damaged it and this is dry. I don't think so, but I don't know how that could cop so much damage and still be okay. So I do have concerns about this, and obviously you can see the damage on the bottom there from before we had the K-on. So this got a lot of running before the K-on guards went on. Now K-on have upgraded their guards, they're really awesome. We're waiting on a set of those to go with these, but to be quite honest, I want to run these to see what they're going to do. But you can only see, well, only one side's been hit. This part of the shaft belongs around here because I've turned this a little bit to open it up to get the Loctite in there. So we're going to get the Loctite in there. We're going to put it back around the way it's meant to be, and I'll try and show you more on the vehicle. But look at that damage. That is unbelievable. Anyway, something to think about. A lot of people might go back to twin tubes now. It's a bit disappointing because the comfort of these things is absolutely awesome, even without the adjustment, which is what I recommend. But then you need to really look into those K-on shock guards if you travel. This is a lot of outback corrugated dirt roads at speed, which is what causes this. Looking at them on the outside, we thought they did pretty well, but now looking on the inside tells a story. Once again, this is why you watch all the videos all the way to the end so you don't miss anything. We've got the Dobinsons 327s in the rear and the remote reservoir adjustable suspension. The driver's side bracket's good. We're going to have a look at the passenger side one soon and obviously replace and upgrade that. It's always been the way that these reservoirs, they sit close at the back, but Dobinsons have actually changed it. There's a new mounting system. I think they've got longer hoses and the reservoirs go in a different place. It may even be better than this, but what we're going to do, we're going to get a replacement bracket for that cracked bracket that's in there. So even with it cracked, it's quite solid. I can't move it, which is why we probably didn't notice it was broken. You can see the crack up through there, but well, you might not be able to see that crack up through there because the light's not on. So the Dobinsons monotubes are in the front, and what goes hand in hand with that is the brand new KO2s and the black wheels. Beautiful. Have a look at that, eh? Look at that. At the back on the driver's side, black wheel, genuine of course. Tyre, it's been on a spare on the 120. The monotubes are in. You can see you can get to the adjustment quite easily. And the height, 327s with nothing in the back of a GX. There's plenty of room there to add the load. We've got the storage system and everything to go in yet, so the chassis sitting a little bit above the top of the tyre, probably about 20 mil. By the time we put our storage system, fridges, roof racks, rear tables, off-road tyre on the back, it'll come down a little bit like that. But we're not chasing a massive height at the front. The reason the back's so high is because it's not loaded up yet. It's just a GX. Passenger side now, the modification value for the Dobinson suspension is $2.5 grand. Okay, 2.5 passenger side front, nice new tyre, and the Dobinsons is in there. Okay, so general value, the Dobinsons monotube kit all round, the top hats included, assembled, you're looking around about 2 grand. Obviously cheaper from me, but that's the value. It's worth about 2 grand. I think we're usually about $17.93 delivered to your door. With the adjustable at the rear that I'm not recommending, you're looking about 2.5 grand. So for the purpose of the exercise of the value for modification number 7, that is the suspension, 2.5 grand. If you got monotube remote adjustables all round, you're looking around 3 grand. Once again, cheaper from us, probably closer to 2.5. But yeah, just trying to give you an idea of what the prices normally are. Bloody beautiful. And of course we know what it's going to ride like. It's in our suspension videos. Check out our suspension playlist. That's mod number 7. And number 8 came together hand in hand with number 9 actually. So we've got Dobinson suspension at number 7, wheels at number 8. The value for the wheels, $50 because you get that can of paint as per our videos and paint them yourself. So for the exercise, the value of the black wheels is $50, and the value of the tyres for the exercise, $350 each. 4 tyres, that's $1,400. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, turn the bell on. Remember, check out our suspension playlist. Heaps more suspension information there. Bada bing, bada boom. We're out of here.